and tonight we have in our audience a lot of young people joining us, and this show is really for you tonight because we're debating an issue that's going to affect all of you going forward. Now, giving a new twist to the work from home concept, this week the Haryana governor granted approval to a job reservation bill that provides 75% reservation for locals in the private sector for jobs that offer a salary of less than 50,000 rupees a month. On the 2nd of March, the Haryana government approved this law, saying it will address the rising unemployment crisis in the state. And Haryana is not alone. Andhra was the first to pass such a law. Other states have also made reservations for locals. Maharashtra up to 80% quota, Karnataka 75%, Andhra Pradesh 75%, Madhya Pradesh 70%. In fact, just this Friday, the Jharkhand cabinet approved an employment policy that requires the private sector units to reserve 75% of jobs up to a salary of 30,000 rupees per month for locals. However, many of these state laws have been challenged in court, and we're asking tonight, 75% reservation for locals in private sector jobs? Are you welcoming industry or chasing it away? Will this decision hurt industrial growth and economic development? Should the government force private companies to adopt its reservation policy in jobs? Remember, constitutional guarantees for reservation has been limited to public employment so far, and attempts to extend it to the private sector are not new either. Like I said, Haryana is not alone. But will it stand the scrutiny of the law? And most importantly, will it achieve the intended objective, that of creating employment and reducing the crisis of unemployment in the state? First and foremost, tonight we have M. Gautam Reddy. He is the Minister for Industries, Commerce and IT from Andhra Pradesh, joining us. Mr. Reddy, thank you so much for your time. First and foremost, Mr. Reddy, Andhra was the first to pass such a law. What is your government's rationale behind this move? Because, you know, CII, FICCI, all business bodies, they say it's a bad idea.
Well, let me just start off with where this thought process came about. It actually came about during our Honorable Chief Minister's Padayatra, when he undertook the 3,648 kilometers. So when he had undertaken this Padayatra, he came live on face-to-face with a lot of the problems being faced at ground levels. Now, we have converted it into a manifesto, and this manifesto exemplifies the challenges that were being faced in the state and how we were going to address that. And one of this that he heard over and over again was, there were a lot of educated youth who were not getting jobs in spite of the industries bringing around them. And the second challenge that they also saw was, they were educated and employed, but not employed in the right way, in the right levels. So actually, if I turn around this question, it is now the prerogative of the government to provide the industry a pipeline of a skilled man workforce. So what we're telling the industry is that one of the I would say that core requirement of an industry is a skilled manpower. Even today in India, we face a challenge. Most of the industries face this challenge. We have people who are educated, but they're not industry ready. So we have undertaken a massive program of skilling. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, you have undertaken a massive program of skilling. Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the idea is, what we are telling them is that it's now on us, the onus is on the government to skill the people. So we have started out by undertaking a survey across the state, Samagra Parishta survey, where we're actually seeing the gap analysis. We're analyzing the gap analysis between the industry's requirements and the local demands, and what is the availability there. So by this, we would like to bring a justice. I mean, one word, secondly, that I can describe our policy is equal opportunities. So we want, our Honorable CM says that, you know, equal opportunities should be given at a person who is actually losing his land. One of the biggest concern is the local people are losing their land to the industry.
But I think critics would say that's exactly what it's not. It's not equal opportunity to all Indians. But, sir, Mr. Reddy, you know, kudos to the Andhra government, because the criticism of these industry bodies is that, look, these guys aren't skilled. We would hire them locally. Why wouldn't we? But clearly they're not skilled. You say that your government is handling that problem. But surely, if a government is going to come up with a solution, you should have looked into whether it's even legal, whether it will stand the scrutiny of the law, because this law that your government put forward hasn't been implemented. No. It's been challenged in court. It's lying there.
True. But let me also tell you the underlying fundamental right of any person is to a job. I mean, that's, the government's responsibility is to provide that job opportunities to people who lose their land, to industries, and, the farmers who lose their land, with the hope that the children will get employed into that part. But we've also realized that the jobs that are being offered by these employed youth, for these youth, are very low-income jobs. So do we want to kind of have a state with a low-income economy focused just on the low-income? So what we've told the industry is, and I come from an industrial background, so I do understand the other side of the argument too. So we have taken a very prerogative view on this, and we've said very clearly on this, that what we've said is that let's tell the industry that we will take the responsibility of providing a skilled manpower. It is ours. So that is the reason why, if you see, we have a first state in the country where we have converged the entire skilling under one department. And we are going to undertake skilling right from down to the top, in the sense of, right from the low-income jobs. And also another challenge that we have in the, in the governments is that, we have our social empowerment programs, which also stand in way of, because this social empowerment programs also give them a certain guarantee of money to these, a lot of these youth, probably in a NREGA scheme or could be in any other social welfare scheme. So I also have to make sure that, I fight that, because people, when they're getting these, amounts being paid, I mean, when they're getting the money, how do I make them successful? Make sure that they also get a job, which is going to be they'll be turning towards the jobs.
Mr. Reddy, you are not in an enviable situation. This is a horrible conundrum. As you point out, people are educated, they don't have jobs. They are educated, but they're not in the right job. But my question to you is, as the government, you have to come up with solutions that are implementable on the ground. Will private industry even comply to any of this? Can it be enforced?
Yeah, now if you really see majority of it, when we talk about 75%, when we have undertaken survey, most of the companies have already met this quota. And when I'm talking about this, the 75%, directly or indirectly, they've already met it by talking about, we're not just talking about the whole.
Then how much of a solution is it if it's already been met?
So we are making it as a law, in the sense that we are making what is already not there. We are just making it as, and we are, this is not a very draconian law. I mean, what you're talking about. We are actually looking at a very progressive kind of a thing. What we are telling them is that we will skill you at our cost and we'll provide you the job, and we'll provide you the skilled manpower. And that is why we have undertaken a massive skilling program. And, we have now going to set up 30 skill colleges across the state, addressing the needs of the industry, right from, I'm talking from your ITIs, your polytechnics, right up to your top level, what the skill universities that we're bringing about. So the idea is to address a whole range of jobs requirement and the skilling requirements required for the industry. Now, I will give you a very interesting thing. Now, there are some jobs where even if I offer them, the locals would not have get it. Like, for example, simply, I would say is in our marine industry. We see a lot of these jobs, people coming from Odisha and from Bihar.
Yes.
So we are not stopping that. Only we are telling them that if there is a requirement and the requirement is not met by the local population, that is when we will step in.
All right, but that will probably lead to a lot more paperwork. It will make it maybe harder for industries to hire people quickly if they need it. But let me go across to someone who can speak on that. Mr. Reddy, thank you for joining us and taking our questions. It seems increasingly rare that ministers behind these policies are ready to do that. But thank you for your time tonight. But let's go across to Dilip Chinoy. He joins us. Mr. Chinoy, why are industry bodies like FICCI, where you're from, CII, NASSCOM, etc., opposing this?
Well, I think the issue here is twofold. One is that industry would like to recruit on the basis of merit. If the merit is available locally, they will hire locally. But if it is not available, then they should have the flexibility to get people from different parts of the country. The second challenge here is that if every state were to do it, you just talked to Minister Gautam, Haryana, you heard Jharkhand, Tamil Nadu, then it will just prevent youth mobility. And in many states, in many districts, the number of jobs are not sufficient, and for people in a particular area to actually fill those, to take everybody who's in that area and employ them. The other big challenge is, if you look at the engineering, if you look at medicine, these are all by entrance exams, and you get your college in some state. Now, if in 5 years you are studying in that state, and someone from local industry wants to hire you, but you don't meet the local criteria, then it's a challenge. And of course, like you talked earlier, the whole process, of for example, in the state that we just, not the Andhra, but in the Haryana model, you have to put all your jobs in the portal if you want to actually fill a place. And if you have only one vacancy, that means it is mandatory to hire a local. It's only if you have 4 vacancies that you can hire 3 locals and 1 person from the outside. If you don't find a person, then you have to apply, get a permission going forward. So it's a big issue. And what Minister Gautam said, the approach of a state should be to skill people and make them available to industry, so that industry actually finds the local people more competitive, more eligible.
But I think an important issue raised by Minister Reddy is that, he says industries say they're getting cheaper labor from other states. Is that a concern? I'm not sure. Is that an accusation in a sense that, industries are hiring people for cheaper, lower standards, lower salaries from other states?
No, so frankly, there are some entry-level jobs which are minimum wage, right?
Okay.
It's the minimum wage is decided by the state. Whether the job goes to a local or from the person from the other state, it's at that.
Okay, so it's a minimum wage job, so it won't. That argument you're saying won't work. All right, Mr. Shenoy, proponents of this say it is socially, economically and environmentally desirable. So really, why not give preference to local candidates? We're hearing such strong statements from FICCI, from CII, from NASSCOM. They say it will affect private investment, it will affect industrial development. NASSCOM says it will impact the business-friendly image of Haryana. Surely, 70% for jobs that pay less than 50,000, is it seriously that way?
I think there are 2 issues to this. First is the freedom for any person to apply.
Sure.
Right? If there's a person who's better at that and you want to recruit the person and she does not meet the local criteria, then you're preventing someone who's merited to get the job from enabling that. The second thing is the flexibility to industry to hire. Now, look at the time taken for industry. So industry would like to hire people locally. There's also a different thing. It is improved that if you have a diverse workforce, your productivity is enhanced, your innovation goes up, and we actually promote diversity of not only of gender, but of different locations, different areas, different type of people. And that is a major part of industry to do, including a lot of multinational companies. So, they will find it as a kind of a barrier to what they want to do.
All right. So, ironically, coming in a year when we've seen a huge push to work from home, I'm not sure if, employees in this strata were working from home. But thank you so much, Mr. Shenoy. Let's go across to Prateek Som. He's the national spokesperson of the JJP. Now, giving the 75% reservation in private sector jobs was actually a key poll promise by Dushyant Chautala's JJP. That's the BJP's coalition partner in the state, and the BJP is only honouring this poll promise made by its ally, which has come in for significant amount of criticism. So, Prateek Som, when Dushyant Chautala described this week, Dushyant Chautala described the governor's assent as, and I'm quoting here, the happiest moment for the youth of Haryana. But what will happen what if every state enacts similar views? What if the youth of Haryana won't get a job or an education in other states? Are they ready for that?
There are many states who have already enacted these kind of laws. Just to tell you, Maharashtra already has a
we've just listed them all out. But we've also said they've failed and they've run into legal hurdles and they're not being implemented. So why is Haryana doing this then? Since you're taking the example of other states.
Let me give you some figures from Industries Department, Maharashtra. Out of almost 3,000 industries that take some kind of incentives from Maharashtra government, 12 lakh jobs are there, and 8.5 lakh jobs are holded by the locals. So close to 85% jobs are, where small and micro industries, medium-sized industries, there also 89.9% of jobs are being held by local. Now the question arises that Maharashtra is a very good industrialized state. It also has Mumbai, which is a financial capital of our country. Then we have the government regulations of the same kind in Gujarat, Himachal, Uttarakhand, and these kind of states. And whereas we have seen that these kind of states is a good industrialized state, and whereas UP and Bihar, such large states who does not have these kind of acts, these kind of rules, and there are no industries. So no precedence can be set out in this manner that wherever this act will come, industry will vanish. It is absolutely baseless to say. Now the very important point arises that why this kind of act. See, basically there are two undeniable facts pertaining to Haryana. One, that we are the #1 state in terms of unemployment. Second, that our state in the last decade has seen a rapid industrialization, a good prosperous state in terms of industrialization. So now as a state we think that a time has come where local should also be part of growth story. And sensible act which has been made, 8 rounds of deliberation and consultations took place between industry and other stakeholders, and a provisos has been added to the minutest detail. Just to share with you that section 5 of the state act says that whenever employer feels that he is not getting a qualified, proficient and a skilled employee as per the terms of requirement, then he may file for an exemption with the competent authority, and competent authority, if feel it is justified, may give exemption to that. Another one important proviso which has been added.
All right, we actually have somebody called Raman Sharma joining us. He's the director of the Sarva Mangalam Private Limited. It's a Ludhiana-based seed farming breeding company, but operates out of Gurugram. He would say that businessmen like him, entrepreneurs like him, have not been consulted by the Haryana government. He says that he would probably, let's ask him, Mr. Raman Sharma, what is your experience? We have here the Haryana government representative saying that if you have a problem, you can always apply to the government and they'll give you an exemption. What's the problem, Mr. Raman Sharma, with that?
See, apart from problems and my difficulties, I'm just asking a question. How many jobs are required in Haryana today, and how many local candidates are available? There is no availability, approximately only 22% guys are available for particular jobs, and we need experts in certain trades. The NCR area of Haryana, we have very perfectionist industries in Haryana, like Maruti is there, automobile industries are there,
correct,
garment industry is there, we have farming industry is there, but we don't have local youth.
But Mr. Sharma, you are saying, I read that you said that you are going to move your company from Gurugram to Rajasthan.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, I have started the process. Because,
why?
See, today if I have to take 75% out of, say, my requirement is approximately 200 guys on particular day. If I have to take say 150 guys in Haryana, they are not available for me. Not even for Mr. Dushyant Chautala. How many people are available for their politics only?
Okay, please respond, sir, quickly.
Yeah. So the point is, first of all, as far as Mr. Sharma's feedback is concerned, Mr. Dushyant Chautala has already given a statement on record that we are still open to any kind of positive suggestions or feedback pertaining to the act, because rules are getting framed now. Now, other thing, Mr. Sharma, the point is to be deliberated upon that industry, as per the industry policy, gets a lot of incentives in terms of the subsidized.
All right, I'm not being able to hear you, Mr. Som. Hold on one second. I want to extend this, Mr. Som. All I can say is, look, people of the state are asking for solutions. There's a huge unemployment crisis, but this doesn't sound like a solution, right? One, you have those legal hurdles in every state. Is this a false promise by politicians, an attempt to distract the unemployed youth with a plan that's not really going to improve their lives at all? Let's go across to Mr. Saravanan, who joins us. He's a spokesperson of the DMK, and with elections round the corner, the DMK has now announced in its manifesto that it will bring in a law to reserve 75% of jobs in companies set up in the state for Tamils. Mr. Saravanan, ease of business. Prime Minister Modi says ease of business. These industrialist businessmen that we've spoken to on the show are saying it's not. It is just the opposite of that. Won't labor inspectors, for example, be harassing industrialists? Is this a mirage? You're going to have structural problems on the ground?
No, it is not a mirage at all. See, when we speak of this employment, 75% reserving the employment, see, the question is what kind of jobs are going to be reserved? That holds the key. Are they going to outsource? Are they going to bring people from, even in the case of Tamil Nadu, are they going to bring people from Bihar and all the other places for the menial jobs? Is it going to be feasible? And if you look at in the case of Tamil Nadu, I'm speaking only in terms of Tamil Nadu, if you are going to say that we want talented people or experienced people, Tamil Nadu has a very good pool of talent. We have the largest number of engineering colleges, and almost more than a lakh of youngsters are passing out of engineering colleges every year. So in that way also, we will not be able to do that. And apart from that,
but do
the
these
main reason why
graduates who are coming out of engineering colleges, sir, want a job that pays them 30,000 a month, pays them 50,000 a month? Their parents pay so much for just getting them into these engineering colleges. Is that the solution?
No, it's not so at all. They will be able to do well, and it's 25%. See, if they say there is a talent deficit, and that is why we are saying that this 25%, they can fill it up with the 25%. Even in America, the most developed country, they say we will not allow outsiders. When Trump was the president, he had a freeze for the jobs.
Are we emulating Donald Trump's America and Donald Trump's policies?
Go to the local Americans. Huh?
Are we emulating Donald Trump's Americas and his policies? Also, he was saying outsiders who are not American. We're talking about Indians, sir.
No. See, when it comes to job, see, when you're speaking about jobs, when you're speaking about survival, I think this distinction we take in India, we take pride in the fact that we are a multicultural society. So the identity,
local
Utsav, regional identity comes
Utsav,
first.
Then please respond over here. Is this constitutional? Is this allowed?
Sara, nowhere does the Constitution empower a state to provide reservations based on domicile. Article 15 and Article 16 indeed prohibits the state from discriminating based on place of birth. The court has made a distinction between the place of birth and domicile on various instances, and the Constitution itself, through different wordings to Article 15 and Article 16, it makes a clear distinction that, so far as Article 16 is concerned,
Utsav,
it empowers the parliament.
Simply tell us, as an Indian, do I have a right to go study in whatever college I want in any part of India? Do I have a right if I want to work in Bombay, if I want to work in Bangalore because I like to? I mean, simply tell me, what does this mean? Do I have a right to do that?
Sarah, I'm speaking here as a lawyer, and I'm just wanting to explain the constitutional position. And that is, deciphered from the Constituent Assembly debates, the Constitution as it has been, with the amendments, without the amendments, and also various Supreme Court judgments. Now, Article 16, empowers the Parliament to enact such legislation to provide domicile reservation. But, the legislative empowerment.
Let's get in Hardeep Dhuli. He lives in Kathal in Haryana. He's a 30-year-old, as Mr. Saravanan points out. He talks about engineers. Hardeep, you're an engineer, right? You did engineering from Delhi. You lost your job during demonetization. What do you do now?
तो जिस प्रकार की अभी बातें हो चल रही है 75% रिजर्वेशन की, तो मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं कॉर्पोरेट की तरह हर चीज को कॉर्पोरेट की तरफ धकेलने का काम हो रहा है, सरकार की तरफ अपना पीछा छुड़ाने का काम कर रहे हैं। क्योंकि अभी पहले इन्होंने कहा था कि हमने 75% रिजर्वेशन हर जगह पे कर दी है, तो लेकिन जो पुरानी कंपनियां उन्होंने चैलेंज किया कोर्ट के अंदर, उन्होंने राइट्स की बात की, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट की बात की, उन्हें लगा कि विरोध हो सकता है, तो उन्होंने नई जो कंपनियां डेवलप होगी उनके ऊपर डाल दिया कि नई कंपनियां इसके ऊपर करेंगी। तो नई कंपनियां कब बनेगी, क्या रोड मैप होगा, क्या प्लानिंग होगी, कब इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होगा, वो एक अलग रह गया। उसके बाद अब डिस्क्रिमिनेशन शुरू हो जाएगा। तो दूसरी स्टेट ने ये चीजें, महाराष्ट्र ने, अगर कर्नाटका की बात करें, झारखंड की बात करें, आंध्र प्रदेश, मध्य प्रदेश, वो सब लोग भी रिजर्वेशन लेके आ रहे हैं। तो जो एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत, उसको तो हम लोग अलग करने में लग गए हैं। हिंदुस्तान को, यूनिटी ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी को हम लोग अलग कर रहे हैं। तो सरकार को अपने लेवल पे रोजगार जनरेट करने चाहिए। वो दूसरों पे क्यों डाल रहे हैं? प्राइवेट कंपनी अगर खुश नहीं है, उनको इन्वॉल्व नहीं कर रहे हैं ये लोग, तो उनको इन्वॉल्व होना चाहिए, उनकी नोट होनी चाहिए इसके अंदर, कि वो तो कोर्ट में चैलेंज कर रहे हैं। अब नई कंपनियां है ही नहीं है, वो एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करती, तो वो कैसे इसके ऊपर अभी कोई विरोध नहीं होगा वहां से। तो ये सब ऐसा लग रहा है कि सरकार अपना पीछा छुड़ाने के लिए, एक साइड में किसान आंदोलन भी चल रहा है, लग रहा है कि युवा भी साथ में खड़े ना हो जाए, रोजगार को लेकर के कहीं वो भी साथ में ना खड़े हो जाए।
Mr. Sarvanan, please respond to this last word, 30 seconds. Governments like yours are not solving the unemployment problem. You're not creating more jobs. You're making it somebody else's problem. Like Haryana can bring down unemployment in Haryana, it may go up in one of the other neighboring states. This is just moving around chess pieces without looking at the source of the problem. Educating. How are we educating our youth? Everybody has a degree. Everybody has multiple degrees and no jobs. What are we educating them if you can't use that? 30 seconds, we're winding up.
We are not in power yet in the state of Tamil Nadu. Probably after May 2nd, we will be there in power. We will be able to solve this jobs issue. It is actually the problem of the central government, the BJP. The Prime Minister promised 2 crore jobs. And what happened to that? There is no jobs that has been created, and we have lost 15 crore jobs. So when there is this crisis situation, every government which is voted by the locals will only try to provide succor to the locals. See, that is the most elemental thing. We cannot think big, we cannot act. See, charity begins from home. If we can feed the people here, then we can go and take people outside. That is the most important thing. And apart from that, we are speaking about Make in India and all these things, when this is not creating enough jobs. So there's something wrong with the way these policies are being implemented, and why the central government is not fixing those things. Why nobody is holding the central government accountable for not increase of jobs? Are they just another election jumla stating that we will provide this kind of jobs and nothing about it? And everyone is questioning the local governments, the regional governments and the parties who promise, at least for them, whoever is there, we are saying we will provide these jobs, these minimal jobs, 75% of the jobs. In the private industries, we are the concerned state government is providing the land.
I can see many of our panelists are disagreeing. I wish we had more time. Clearly, we need to debate this further. Thank you all for joining us tonight as we raise this important issue. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us on We the People. Bye-bye.